All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am super excited for this special Third Power Life podcast. I have with me today the one, the only Ryan Lilly. We've been friends for a lot of years. It's really good to see you. I know, you know, we now live a little farther away. We're supposed to still in Florida, but a little farther away. So it is really good to see you, my friend. How you been doing?
I'm doing great, Dan. It's good to see you again after I think 2 years.
Mhm.
And yeah, I'm down here in South Florida now and missing all my friends there in North Florida, but it's good to reconnect with you.
Excellent. Well, I heard a rumor about you, and that's actually what we're going to talk about today. That you have an event coming up talking about burnout, which, as we I think we've probably both talked about that in our previous life and in our current things in social media and all of that. Burnout is such a huge deal for me. Um, I know that about this time last year, maybe a little bit more, right? A little over a year. I was like, it was crazy. My whole world was felt like it was on fire. So it was definitely burnout time. So I'm really curious, what kind of got you into wanting to do the seminar on burnout and how to get out of it. How did this come about?
Yeah, so for me, it really comes from a personal experience with burnout. And as I was going through it, I remember thinking to myself, if one day I can get through this and sort of find that light on the other end of the tunnel, I'd like to be able to help other people experiencing the same thing, help them understand what tools and resources there are to help them through this, because I was having to find those things out all on my own. So for me, this all started, about 5 years ago, and I started feeling a little bit burnt out. I was at a conference one day, and I heard someone mention that term burnout. And I'll admit that the first time I heard it, I sort of had this disrespect for people who said they were burnout. I thought, oh, you say you're burnt out, but you're not trying hard enough. You're not doing enough, and just that burnout seems to be this fluffy, made up term or whatever. And then the universe has a funny way of doing things. And then I experienced it myself, and I think that burnout starts sometimes. And this is the tricky thing about it, is that it starts out very subtle at first. You come home at the end of every day and you just feel a sense of tiredness, and you question, okay, am I more tired than normal? And then burnout starts to pervade more of your life. Burnout can affect your relationships with your friends and family. Burnout can affect your enjoyment of life, and really it can also take a physical toll on your body. So that's what started happening for me, is that suddenly burnout went from being this, oh, I'm a little tired, this mental emotional sense of exhaustion, to being physical. One morning about a little over 3 years ago, I walked into a morning meeting. I was there. It was a board meeting. There were a lot of important people in the room. And I started feeling dizzy. Like, just, like the room was kind of spinning a little bit. And I thought, I wonder what this is about. And so, not wanting to pass out in front of all these important people, I went out in the lobby and kind of sat down in a chair, and I started feeling my hands tingling a little bit, and I felt some tingling on my chest. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm a little bit too young to be having some kind of like heart condition, but that's really what it felt like, was something was going on in my body. And I went to the doctor that day. They ran all the tests on you that they can do, and the doctor said, you're basically having a stress reaction. Your body is telling you that the stress has become so much that it's no longer able to handle it. And he gave me kind of a warning. He's like, you need to take better care of yourself. And so that really started for me this sort of self care journey. And that's the funny thing. I say self care. I was never one to take care of myself. And I always felt guilty for taking care of myself. I was in a position where I was always focused on my family, meeting their needs, definitely by far the needs of those that I work with. And at the time, I was working in a role, Dan, you knew me at that time, where I helped a lot of entrepreneurs. And
Right.
literally, I would have entrepreneurs coming in, multiple entrepreneurs a day. Sometimes I would see them all at once at an event, and I'm trying to help every one of them as best I can. And during COVID, that became even more difficult because obviously COVID put a lot of strain on them, which in
Right.
turn put a lot of strain on my job. But that was a thing for many people, and the strain that COVID put on healthcare workers, on teachers, and suddenly burnout became something that more and more people were experiencing. So yeah, I mean, it was not an easy thing to go through. It wasn't an easy thing for my family. That's the hardest thing looking back on my burnout journey, is seeing for example, I've got a young child, and maybe some people listening have children. And when you're burnt out, it affects your ability to be fully present with those around you. I would be so in my head about work and all the things that I had going on and how stressed out I was about them, that my daughter would be playing or asking me to play, and I wasn't there. Like I was there, but I wasn't present in the moment. And left unchecked, I think that could be one of the saddest things to happen in your life, is for it to go by and for you to have missed all of it because you weren't present. So I realized that I needed to change. And that started my burnout journey. It started with simple things like learning meditation. I had never, meditated a day in my life. I didn't know what meditation was. I thought it was some kind of religious thing, but just being more mindful, just developing, a practice of each day getting quiet and, really listening to myself and what my body was telling me. Nutrition played into it, lots of different things. And so I've just recently, you mentioned my course, I've developed a seminar called Finally Free from Burnout, that I'm
Nice.
offering, and we can talk more about that later. But the purpose of it is really to help people who are in that phase of burnout right now. It could be that maybe they've just started feeling burnt out, or maybe they're experiencing some of the things that I talked about and really needing to take care of themselves.
Gotcha.
And so the seminar really is about three things. It's about, first of all, recovering from what you're going through, recovering from burnout, really rediscovering who you are and what it is that you care about, and then redirecting your life as well. But we can get into that more in a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. I find it fascinating that one of the things that you talked about was this, like the urge to take care of everybody else and not doing the self care, because that was definitely a huge thing for me. Is I don't want to be selfish, right? That if I'm like taking time to go to the gym, that's it's taking time away from my kids and family. And I think we've had lots of conversations like about life balance, and it's one of those things where we feel like we've got to balance everything and make everything perfect. I can't take time for me because that's taking time away from them. um, how did you kind of come to terms with the fact that the taking care of yourself is taking care of them? Well, was there anything that kind of helped you bridge that gap? Because I think a lot of people fall there, especially those that are in kind of caretaking roles.
I was actually on a flight for a business trip, and this is an illustration that other people have mentioned. It's not something that I came up with, but when they're doing the safety briefing for the flight, they talk to you about your oxygen mask and the importance of, if something were to happen, putting your oxygen mask on first before helping the people next to you, whether it be your child or whomever. And it's the idea that if you're not conscious, if you're not alive or able to help others, you're not they're going to suffer too. So you've got to take care of you got to take care of yourself so that you can help others. And that for me was again realizing that importance of I've got to put my own needs first so that I can meet the needs of others.
Gotcha. So, what would you say for the people that are listening to this right now? That is there a difference between being stressed out at work and burnout? I mean, because if if you have a job, if you have a business, you're under stress, right?
Mhm.
I mean, it just that's just the way it is. But what takes it from just being stressed out to starting to go into the burnout realm for you?
To me, burnout really has to do with a deeper sort of alignment or unalignment with your purpose. So if what you're doing is so unaligned with who you are, to me, that's what can really lead to burnout. Now, it's also possible that maybe you're doing something that's aligned with who you are. Maybe your job is something that you're passionate about and that you care about, but you're doing it in an unaligned way. You're doing too much of it, or you're doing it
Ooh,
in a
okay.
way that's um, you know that's burning you out. So it's finding out, like you said, stress. It's normal to be stressed about things, uh, here and there. But if you're consistently, it's the thing about burnout is that it's chronic and pervasive. So it's not just every once in a while I feel tired. It's I have felt really tired for a long time, and it's not going away. That's to me is the distinction between stress and being burnt out.
Gotcha. That's good. I like that. I like that a lot. Um, what would you say are, other than like the fatigue, the being tired, what are some of the other like warning signs or symptoms, if you will, that can be, that shows that maybe this is more than just I didn't sleep well for the last 3 months. Uh,
Sure.
right?
Yeah. So I think, first of all, your productivity. You notice that your productivity is going down, that you just can't seem to get through projects the way that you used to. Cynicism. So, your attitude at work changes. And even on what would have otherwise been a good day, you're always cynical or pessimistic about things. That's another big one. Um, yeah, just I think too, your family and those closest to you are sometimes a good indicator of your burnout. They might notice something. But I had people coming up to me at events and networking events and things when I was experiencing burnout, going, "Hey, are you okay? I noticed there's something different about you. You seem different and tired." So yeah, there's a lot of sort of red flags that can come up, but at the end of the day, it really takes making that realization yourself and knowing when you've become burnt out. Really recognizing it is the first step.
Gotcha. Makes sense. So, I guess the next logical question is then how do you start to fix it? I
Yeah.
mean, and again, this is this is a 15-20 minute conversation. We're not going to solve all of the world's problems. That's why you need to go to Ryan's to your finally free from burnout um, seminar. But what are the things that we can start to look at? How do we like identify and start to try to make some changes?
So obviously, you've got to recognize first that you are burnt out. We just talked about that. The second thing I think you have to do is to take responsibility for it. This idea, and I'm sure and a lot of personal development speakers and authors have talked about this, but taking 100% responsibility for your life. And only once you've done that are you then at a place of being able to make a change. If it might be true that your boss or that some external factor was contributing to your burnout in some way, but at the
Right.
end of the day, you were the one who said yes to doing things. You were the one who let yourself become burnt out. And so, it's a hard sort of pill to swallow sometimes, but to take responsibility for having become burnt out. And then, really from there, seeing it as a gift. And that sounds counterintuitive, that
Okay.
something as
Explain.
something as dark and terrible as burnout could be considered a gift. But to me, burnout was one of the greatest things that ever happened to me because it helped me realize the importance of self-care. It helped me realize what was important to me in my work. It helped me realize, really who I was and become aligned with that again. And that's really sort of the gift of burnout that each person has to find for themselves. Um, and I think that's true of any challenge in life, whether it be burnout or some other challenge that you're going through. If you can really find appreciation and gratitude for that experience,
Yep.
you can see the silver lining in it, see how it was helping you. To me, burnout is just your body's way of getting your attention and telling you, hey, there's something else that you need to take a look at that you haven't been concentrating on. You've been so busy with work, but what's behind this? What's deeper here? So burnout can be the greatest gift you've ever experienced.
Nice. Yeah. And I can say, from my personal experience with it, like I said, little over a year ago, I had been, I was working in a place, and I remember the waking up one morning, and my first conscious thought upon waking was, "Ah, shit, I got to do this again." that was the first thing. It was like, no, I don't want to do this
And
again.
we laugh about that, and it sounds funny, and we laugh about that. But at the same time, like, how many people across the world are asking themselves that same question every morning?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
what effect does that? Again, I call it like a being unaligned with your purpose. But hating what you do every day so much that you don't want to get out of bed and do it. What effect does that have on your everyday experience and on the people that you love around you? Versus if you were doing what you felt your purpose was and what was in alignment with your purpose. How does that feel, and what impact are you then be able to have on others? So yeah, I mean, if getting out of bed every morning is tough, that's one of those red flags you were talking about earlier. How can we tell
Yeah.
if we're burnt out? If getting out of bed is hard, that's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, that was waving the flag, right? Oh, very nice. So when is the seminar that you're doing?
Yeah, so it's Saturday, June 1st. It's a 5 hour long seminar. It's 9:30 in the morning until 2:30 in the afternoon. It's here in Boca Raton, so it is in person. I do plan on offering it in the future as an online experience as well, but really wanting to try to get people together because a big part of this is not anything necessarily that I'm teaching, but also the experience of being around others who have experienced this and may still be experiencing it today. And what can you learn from them? What can we learn from each other? So
Right.
I think there's a lot of value in getting people together, in person for that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, live seminars are it's the best way, actually getting in the room with people, doing seeing the body language, having the energy that we're all together. I mean, this is nice, right? On camera, it's fine. We get to see each other, but it's not the same as actually being there and and just the collaboration that can happen live. And it's you just go into to ryanlilly.com, and you've got the link on there, right?
Yep, yeah. Just go to ryanlilly.com, click on the events tab, and you'll see the link to sign up. Again, if you can't make this one for some reason, definitely send me an email, get on the list, and we'll make sure that you are able to join a virtual session in the future.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I'm doing with the roundtable is occasionally I like to have guest speakers come in. So I will extend an invite for you if you would like to come and be a speaker one time for us.
I would
So
love to. I would love to. Thank you.
you're welcome. Um, this whole thing is just burnout is such a big deal right now. Because do you have any stats on how many people are suffering from this right now?
So there was a workplace survey. I think it was Deloitte who did this workplace survey and found that 77% of people have
What?
experienced burnout in their jobs. 77%. So this is really the sort of pandemic that no one is talking about. Of course, every once in a while we hear about mental health in the workplace,
Right.
but 77% of people are feeling burnt out in their jobs. It's time to do something about it and to take action. So I hope that this seminar in some small way helps start a conversation around that.
Gotcha. Um, is there anything that businesses can do to help their people? I mean, I had a boss that told me once, and the more I thought about it, I'm like, you're probably right. Um, because I told him, I'm feeling burnt out, right? And he goes, well, what I've found is that once people burn out, they don't come, they're not going to come back to the same job and be okay. They've got their the if once they burn out, you've lost them for all. The business itself has lost them unless they change positions, or but usually it's changing jobs, moving to somewhere else. And I know that that was the case for both of us, right? And so, what can the people who are here that have businesses or are decision makers in one way or another, how can they help, like, keep it at bay, to help their people not burn out?
I think it really takes being present with your employees and listening to them and noticing any declines in their performance, noticing if they seem different at work. And I forget who it was. It might have been Simon Sinek. I saw a video of recently talking about how leaders can take better care of their employees. And Simon Sinek was saying that a manager's reaction when they see that uh, an employee's quarterly sales performance has gone down
Yes, I saw that one.
shouldn't be to just go up and say what's wrong with you and another quarter of this and you're gone. No, the reaction should be one of genuine concern. It should be going up to the employee and saying, hey, I notice your performance is down. I just curious what's going on. Is there anything that I can help you with, or
Yeah,
anything I should know about, or those kind of things. So expressing concern and really being more compassionate towards those you lead, I think is a big part of it. And that can be really challenging because as a manager or as a business owner, you've got a lot of things going on.
yeah,
You're dealing with the operations of the business. It can be very easy to miss those warning signs of burnout in your employees and and to just keep going. So yeah, take time to talk to people, to listen to your employees and really understand maybe what they're going through.
gotcha. So, what I'm hearing is more than pizza Fridays. Is that
It's funny you mentioned that because there are a lot of memes online right now on Reddit and other websites about Pizza Fridays and other
Mhm.
things that employers do to, you know, sort of boost the morale of their employees. But people are poking fun at these things online as, we had a great quarter, let's have pizza, the kind of thing. So yeah, it is more than that, and it takes again that connection and listening to your team, that's what's really missing.
Yeah, and I've found that it's not always just like more money, because I know a lot of those memes, because I've seen lots of those. It's usually more the like them sitting on piles of money, and here we'll give you some pizza, um, right? So I mean, we don't need to delve into the politics of that, but I will say that so often, um, stress levels and people being willing to stay is not usually about money. It's usually about the relationships that you have. And I actually did a podcast last week, I think, about organizational purpose. And one of the things that I love that you say, because I talk about purpose all the time, is that a lot of burnout comes from being misaligned with your purpose. And I find that if organizationally we can create an organizational purpose that we can then align our people with and help our organization be in line with what people want to do and want to be, that can help tremendously as well.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah, and it's interesting because sometimes people aren't always clear on their purpose, and organizations aren't clear on their purpose,
Right.
and so it's no wonder that there is such a sort of misalignment sometimes because no one really knows what their true purpose is, and so again, that's the gift of burnout is it's your body's way of telling you it's time to look deeper and it's time to understand what you're here to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, my friend. So how can people find you online? I know we've talked about ryanlilly.com. How would somebody find you on social media?
Yeah, so I've got a Facebook page, LinkedIn, Instagram. The account is Ryan Lilly Speaking on those platforms. So you can
Okay.
connect with me there. I'll be announcing upcoming online webinars in addition to these in-person events. And look forward to connecting with everyone and hopefully some people there in North Florida and all over your listening audience.
Absolutely. That's excellent. Well, so one more last shout out for, finally free from burnout. It's June
June
1st.
1st.
No,
Yep.
June 1st. I was right. So June 1st in Boca. Go to ryanlilly.com events. You can find it there. I'm looking forward to it quite a bit. I appreciate you being here, man. It's so good to catch up. We have to do this more often. We have to do this more often.
We do. It's good seeing you again, Dan, and congratulations on everything that you're doing with Third Power Performance and your roundtable. I love everything. So congratulations.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, my friend, as I tell everybody, have a great rest of your day. Keep living your life to the third power. And until next time. Thank you for listening to the Third Power Life podcast. Before you go, one quick question for you. Where are you on the path of life? Are you just drifting through your life? Are you fully in command, somewhere in between? Well, you can find out where you are now by taking my new Commander Survey. It will tell you where you are on your growth journey and how to move yourself to the next level. You can find the link on the screen or in the show notes. Now, all I want to know now is, where do you stand?